Welcome to DisruptED TV. I am Michelle Hill, and I am your host today with some very special guests. I have Chris Lubbe, who is here with me, who is best known as Nelson Mandela's bodyguard, but he has so many other things that he wants to talk to us about today. And I'm also joined by Dr. Christopher Nagy, who is the superintendent of Burlington County Institute of Technology and Special Services, along with Tyler Seville, who is a board member of both of those school districts as well. And we have Deputy Director Linda Hughes of the Burlington County Freeholder Board. Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thanks, good to be here.
Yeah, happy to be here.
So this year marks the 100th anniversary of the birth of Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
Yes. How have things changed since his death?
Well, for the start, I'm a free person. I'm a free man. I never had freedom before he became the first black president of South Africa. And I lived in this awful existence called apartheid. And, you know, could never dream of becoming anything. The system imposed what it wanted on me. I never got the education that I wanted. I never really got to become who I wanted to be. I wanted to be a pilot, but I was told that because I'm not white, I couldn't become a pilot. And so now I'm beginning to understand what true freedom is about. And it's about understanding that you can do whatever it is you want to do, wherever your heart and your passions take you, that you can do and become. And that's really, for me, what true freedom is about. And I never had that. I used to look, when I was a young boy, and I used to look at the United States and the elections you have, and what happens here and how free people were, and I used to yearn for that freedom. I used to yearn for the opportunity for my parents to at least have a say in the country and to vote. We never had that opportunity. I myself can vote today. I can travel today. When I was growing up in South Africa, most black people were not allowed to travel. We were not given passports.
It's crazy. So, Dr. Nagy, you're responsible for bringing Chris Lubbe to us in Burlington County. How did that happen?
Well, a number of things. I believe life is a relationship, and very, very fortunate to have a mutual friend in Scotland. And so as a superintendent in North Jersey, we had an exchange with Scotland. And so I had an introduction to the Education Minister of Scotland, Dumfries and Galloway, who then became good friends with Chris Lubbe and heard the story and helped him to start his message, delivering it to students throughout Europe. And so there was the opportunity here then to be able to bring him here, and we were looking at celebrating the Week of Respect, which is where we are this week in New Jersey. And what a great message to bring and to personify the life of Nelson Mandela. Also to have Chris talk about the persecution that he went through, the fight for freedom, and ultimately to be able to tell the story today, having gone through the forgiveness process, even in his own personal life. And that just really resonated with us when you talk about a week of respect, you're talking about forgiveness, and most particularly the whole idea of tolerance. And instead of looking at people as being different, to look at them as a way to bring everyone together and to have a conversation and to respect each other as human beings.
That's powerful. Well, thank you for bringing him here because we are really enjoying his visit. So, Chris, you've spoken to a lot of schools more recently during this Week of Respect. What do you hope the students leave with and the other people who have been in the audience for your presentations?
What I hope the message I hope that they get is to understand that we as human beings are all connected, and that we need to work together. The world is full of problems, and the solutions lay within us. And the only way we're going to solve the problems of the world is if we come together, work together, understand that we need each other as human beings. And again, the most important thing I hope people will take away is what Gandhi said. He said, be the change you want to see in the world. And I'm hoping that they are challenged to go change their stereotypes and go change the way they look at people and understand that they've got to connect with people that don't speak like them, people that don't look like them, people that don't have the same beliefs, and understand that that's how we're going to build a better world, is by connecting with others. That's the message I'm hoping.
Thank you. Dr. Nagy, you've had a lot of students visit with Chris Lubbe. What's the feedback been? What do you hope that they went home and they told their parents and their families? What was the impression that you wanted them to have?
I think the best thing to say is just give a few examples. We had a student who lost his mother 3 years ago to a drug overdose. And after hearing Chris's speech, basically said, if you can forgive the person who persecuted you and waterboarded you, then maybe I can forgive the boyfriend of my mom who actually introduced her to the drugs. Another was these individuals, just very, very difficult family situations at home, and really were rudderless from that vantage point, and they were getting themselves into a great deal of trouble. They heard Chris's message. They came up to him afterwards. One, they wanted to have a picture with him. And two, they said, what do I need to do to become another Nelson Mandela? I mean, powerful. We had the Chamber of Commerce this morning, made a presentation. One of the librarians was just in tears, knowing that we many times take our lives for granted. We are very, very insular in terms of how we think, and we don't think about the rest of the world and the atrocities that they go through. But when you start hearing and you are connected, you know, there are two words that I know that Chris has provided us in his last 2 times that he's been with us here in Burlington County at BCIT and Burlington County Special Services. One is, well, actually 2 of them are Zulu words. And Sonia Bona is one, and the other one is Ubuntu. And both of those 2 words kind of signify, one is a greeting, like we would say, hi, hello, how are you? For them, in Zulu, it is, you know, soyabona, meaning I see you, and then the response ultimately, after we recognize that you are who you are, that we are here for you. And that's been the theme that we kicked off our school year with, and we're following that through. Ubuntu, you know, it's the whole idea of recognizing that we're working together as a team. And it's not a selfish focus, it's about creating something special together. And I think this week of respect, the message that Chris has provided has really resonated very much. We also had some other students that have come up to him and basically said, you know, man, I never thought about what it is that you said before. And you know, it really touched me. And hearing this from high school kids, I mean, that's a pretty big deal. And so I think those are just a couple of examples, and you know, we're just very grateful for what he's done for us.
Well, thank you for bringing him here, because so many people have benefited. Linda, I know that you've had a chance to see him for probably both years,
Yes,
right?
definitely, both
Multiple
years.
times. And what's the most powerful thing that you came away with?
Chris has a lot of important lessons. I mean, he learned from one of our greatest leaders, Nelson Mandela, so he's able to share so much wisdom with us. One of the biggest things that stuck with me is that one person can make a difference. When you talk about one person making a difference in the world, even if you make a difference for one individual, that's what's important, and just empowering people to really be able to go out and make that difference in their own world.
That's awesome. Tyler, first time hearing him speak?
No, this is my second time. I've had the privilege of hearing him last year, and it was certainly a eye-opening experience. As somebody who is, you know, a young professional, it is amazing to see that things like apartheid happened even in my lifetime. Yeah. And so it is absolutely refreshing to hear somebody like Chris, who has come to our school and really preach not just a message of tolerance and respect, but forgiveness. And so it has been an amazing opportunity, and we certainly thank you, Chris, for coming, and of course, Dr. Nagy for making sure that this happens. As a board member, we have been very active in ensuring that Respect Week is something that is important to BCIT as well as to the Special Services School District. But I do want to give a shout out to Chris, as well as the administration and team, primarily because for us, Respect Week is not just 1 week. For us, it's about respect and forgiveness throughout the school year. And I know that Chris, as well as the rest of our administration, has been ensuring that to happen.
Yeah, he absolutely has. By choosing this as his theme this year, it is recognizable everywhere you go, and it's evident in every day. So Linda, I just want to turn this back to you because you have a really great position being a freeholder. And so how did he impact you with a message, an ideal that you can take into making a difference in the political arena?
Well, we know Burlington County is a special place and a place that has unique opportunities. And really, when Chris speaks, you really get that feeling of the importance of community and people working together. And that's why, as a member of the Freeholder Board, we're so proud to work with the school board, with the administration here to offer such wonderful opportunities. Chris spoke a lot to our students, but he also went to the business community. He spoke with the Chamber of Commerce members. He spoke with different students at different schools. And the message is important for everyone. The message is important for leaders. It's important for future leaders. It's important for students, for business people, is that you can make the difference in one person's life. The unity, the community, the listening to other people, instead of turning people away when you don't agree with them, listening to what they have to say and finding common ground when it's possible, and sharing opinions and being able to disagree without being disagreeable.
It's awesome.
And it's interesting because, when we speak about Ubuntu, we speak about the fact that we connect with each other. And it's a selfless act. It's one where you don't just think about yourself. And when I look at Linda and I think about the selfless act that she committed when she donated a kidney to somebody that she didn't know. And for me, that's true Ubuntu. Imagine giving up a part of your body to somebody that needs it. And again, that's a demonstration for me of what Ubuntu is about.
And that's the goodness in this room and in this community and in this world, right?
Absolutely.
High words of praise coming from someone who's met so many compassionate, giving people in his life. So thank you.
And Tyler, you pointed out something that was really terrific. You're 29. I think you told me you're 29.
Yeah.
And so how do you even fathom that these things happened in your lifetime? It's crazy, right? That on the other side of the world, things were happening that we could not imagine. And our students here at BCIT, as high school students, are sitting in an audience listening to this, many of whom are African American, thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe that existed.
Right.
So that's a powerful message for somebody at your age to really think about how the world could be so different in other places and how can you make it better.
Absolutely. I mean, when I first heard Chris speak, his presentation, his slides, I was shocked. I really was. It was something that I really had to take in and process, knowing that this was happening while I was alive. And so, apartheid ended in, 93? So at the end of the day, we are cultivating the next generation of leaders who have no knowledge of this. And so Chris being here is extremely important to realize to these students that this was something that just happened a generation ago. And so whether it's this example or something that is happening right now, it transcends what's going on. His message transcends what's going on. Respect, toleration, forgiveness, it is absolutely critical for every generation to really understand that, and that message resonates.
And so it's incumbent upon all of us.
Absolutely.
And the whole idea of spreading this message is to awaken in people the fact that we need to live selfless lives and that we need to care for other people, and that even today, sadly, we live in a world where people are being treated very badly. There's genocides that are taking place, in countries. There are people that are being treated awfully. There are children and teenagers that are trapped in war situations. And it's just getting young people to understand that they have power in their hands and they can make a difference, they can change things. And I talk about, in my talks when I do them, I talk about how as a young boy at the age of 10 years old, we were all living in this shanty town. And my friends and I decided to write letters to different people to ask them to please help us to end apartheid. And we did this believing that the message will get through and somebody will read the letters. And of course, when I met the Queen, I discovered that she had got my letter. And so we're living in this digital age where we've got a lot of digital natives. Young people are active, socially, on social media. But there are things that they can do to highlight the plight of people that are less fortunate than themselves. And I don't mean trolling people. I don't mean being negative. I mean, we can do some positive things. We can highlight causes. We can highlight situations. And that's how we can make a difference.
I know that just to follow up with that, I can't help but think of the example that you used that Nelson Mandela shared with you. And he mentioned that in terms of the, what difference can we make in the world? And he showed you a picture of a mosquito.
Yes.
And he said, if you think you don't have a great deal of say as one individual, try to be in the room at night in the bedroom and have one night with a mosquito flying around the whole night, and you understand the impact that one particular individual can have on a life. And I think that's also the message that really resonated with our students.
Absolutely. So as tiny as they are, mosquitoes are tiny. And you probably come across them when you've gone overseas. So at night you're trying to sleep and you hear this, and it keeps you out of your sleep. And so I think what he was trying to tell me was that as tiny as a mosquito is, it can have an impact. It can make an impact, although it's a negative impact. But we as individuals, we can do things, we can make an impact on the world that we live in. And it can be small things. It can start in homes, it can start with families. People can have a little bit more tolerance and acceptance. We can change the tone of our voices. We can reach out to people that have not voted the same way as we have. And we can say, you know what? We're all Americans and we can work this thing out. Or we're all citizens of the world and we can talk and we can sort this out.
And so that reminds me of this African proverb that says, if you want to go faster, go alone, but if you want to go further, go together. Yes. So it's important for all of us to go together and be together and work together for the common good of the world in general.
Absolutely.
And that is Ubuntu. Correct?
Ubuntu.
That's what it's about.
So I know there's going to be many people who want to get in touch with Chris Lubbe, and so I'm going to turn it over to you to tell us how they can do that.
Yes, they could get in touch with me through my website, www.chrislubbe.com, or they could get hold of me via my Twitter handle, which is @Sawubona. Notice Sawubona, I love that, _Chris, or via Facebook, sawubona.chris, or Instagram, sawubona.chris. So it's all about understanding about I see you, and that's why I use the word Sawubona in all my social media.
Well, thank you so much today, all of my guests. I am thrilled to have you here today to have this conversation with Chris Lubbe, who is just a pleasure and such an inspiration to us all. And I hope that you'll continue to watch DisruptED TV.